Chosen one, listen closely. Heaven itself has paused this very moment to whisper directly to your soul. You thought your choices went unnoticed. You thought nobody saw the silent battles, the private decisions, the nights when you could have surrendered but didn't. Yet heaven saw it all. God himself took record. When you chose integrity over compromise, when you chose virtue instead of convenience, the unseen world shifted. Even trembling, even heavy in heart, you stood your ground. And that was the moment you became heaven's focus. Elon Musk, one of the greatest innovators of our age, understands what it means to make costly choices, to stand alone when the world doubts you, to take the narrow path that demands sacrifice. And now heaven is showing you this parallel. Just as Elon's decisions altered the future of technology, your decision has altered the future of your destiny. You're not like the rest. Others bend under pressure, take the easy road, or sell out for acceptance. But not you. You resisted the voices that told you to blend in. You refused to trade your birthright for a fleeting pleasure. You chose faithfulness over ease. That modest, covert, and little-known choice was not at all insignificant. It was enormous. You were marked in the spiritual world by that pivotal moment. What happens when a selected person obeys covertly? Angels are sent forth. Silently, chains in your lineage shatter. Demons can no longer legally enter. The mood changes. Your compliance has a rippling effect that extends beyond your visual perception. The world could disregard your decision. Heaven records it. Heaven records it in the everlasting books. You could think that one is mine. That one chose me over the world. And God himself leans in, grinning. However, what if I felt fear? But what if I was hesitant? How could I feel weak? Hear me, chosen one. Obedience is obedience, even if it is wavering. Divine force is nevertheless there even in scared obedience. Your vocal power is not measured by God. He gauges your heart's path, and he was the one your heart chose. Through the prophet Jeremiah, the Spirit communicated. Chapter 29, Mercy 11. The Lord says, I know the plans I have for you, plans to help you rather than hurt you, plans to provide you with a future and hope. It's more than simply ink on old paper. Every sacrifice, every difficult choice, every time you turned away from what seemed simple, you walked right into his plan according to heaven's voice. Selected one, God is pleased with you. You indeed, the same you that wept when no one was around. That same you who struggled with uncertainty. The same you who almost quit, but persisted. Your decision was proof that you were really unique. Your choice demonstrated that your soul outweighs your body. And today, as a result of that decision, heaven's gates are wider than ever before. You're going to experience blessings for which you didn't even pray. They've already sent out protection you didn't even realize you needed. Your destiny has been magnified by the grace that will take you into the next season. But when God is happy with you, chosen one, I have to warn you, the opponent starts to fear you. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Don't take assaults as a surprise. When resistance arises, don't be alarmed. The only thing the darkness fights is what threatens it. Because the reign of hell is directly threatened by your obedience, your yes to God. However, celebrate, for the war has already been decided. Your decision put you in a position to win. Because of your obedience, you were protected by heaven. I thus ask you to rise in faith today. Don't minimize your actions. Don't minimize your choice. Don't assume it was insignificant. No, that was all of it. It was a prophetic deed, a sacred stance. Heaven will never forget this magnificent moment. God is pleased with you. He has selected you. His fighter is you. I want you to do just one thing, my love, to make this moment last. I encourage you to like this message if you're prepared to publicly announce that you are his. Spread the word so that someone else might be reminded of their value. Additionally, subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages that heaven sends your way. This is validation, not just substance. Additionally, I would want you to leave a remark below the prophetic number 444 to commemorate this time in the Spirit. This is your affirmation that you are standing firmly in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit and walking in divine stability. Heaven delighted because you made the proper decision. God grinned as you remained steadfast. And this is only the start of the benefits that are in store for you, selected one. It's not a broad route, and there aren't many people cheering your decisions. It is steep, narrow, and often deserted. There is no simple comfort on the path of obedience. It is paved with rejection, miscommunication, and sacrifice. But you've made the decision. You have shown your loyalty to the person who called you by doing this. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. People may have shunned you in the past because you refused to make concessions. Friends asked why you couldn't follow the crowd. Family members were unable to comprehend your adherence to principles that, in their opinion, were superfluous. Opportunities passed you by because you refused to submit to the world's corruption and dishonesty. Heaven took something away from you. Everything was yours. The paradox of the selected ones is this. You and God smile, but you forfeit men's favor. You are clothed with everlasting dignity, yet you are deprived of earthly praise. For a while, you wander by yourself, yet heaven is always watching you. In paradise, what seems like loneliness is really recognition. Every tear you shed when you felt alone was seen, my love. You questioned if it was worthwhile every night. The Lord was not far away. In your heart, you requested in silence. Why do I have to make the difficult decision every time? Why am I unable to just be like everyone else? Because you're not everyone else, you're mine. No, the voice from above said. The archaic terms used in Matthew's gospel. The words small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, found in chapter 7, verse 14, are still relevant today. I don't intend to depress you with these remarks. Their purpose is to verify that your adventure is unique. However, you will always arrive at your goal. The tiny lane was never intended for large crowds of people. It was made with the loyal in mind. And you are one of the select few who have the courage to walk it, chosen one. Selected one. Rejection is not the same as abandonment. People left. Indeed. However, God didn't. Their absence is a testament to your strength rather than a sign of your weakness. Obligation carries a hefty burden. However, it is only trusted to be carried by the selected. You are chosen to carry what others were unable to. You are given a route that others would not follow. The journey is sacred even if it is lonely. Your every act of faith has an eternal reverberation. In the invisible realm, every act of goodness lays a foundation. Even if you can't see the whole picture now, heaven is incorporating your obedience into a far bigger plot than you can fathom. The fact that certain doors closed when you opted for obedience is not an error. You were never supposed to find your fate via those doors. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. The fact that several individuals departed when you held your ground is no coincidence. In the next season, their presence would have been a burden. Because there could be no fruit without pruning, God wisely permitted the practice. Consider Joseph, who was sold into slavery after being deceived by his own brothers, wrongfully convicted, and left forgotten in a jail cell. Was it simple for him to obey? No. Was it expensive for him? Indeed. But he was getting closer to the palace with each lonesome stride. Although the specifics of your narrative may differ from his, the idea is the same. Obedience may lead to isolation, but it also sets you up for success. Selected one. On the narrow path, loneliness is not a penalty. It's refining. This is when your trust becomes unwavering. This is when your faith in God becomes firmly established. You can easily hear the voice of heaven here because you are cut off from the cacophony of the throng. Loneliness is a sign of your calling. Therefore, don't hate it. Don't be envious of those who seem carefree on the broad route, since their joy is fleeting. You have made an everlasting sacrifice. Crowns await you later, even if you're being ridiculed now. Even though you may go unnoticed today, the courts of heaven will always remember you. So, choose one and raise your head. You are never alone yourself, even while few others walk with you. You walk with the Lord of hosts. Angels are all around you. The cloud of witnesses looks on and encourages you. Even if your feet seem heavy, heavenly hands are guiding them. Even though you may cry, Those tears are only seeds that may sprout in future seasons. And when you look back, you'll realize that what you received was much more than what you sacrificed. Every no you spoke to the earth was met with a yes from heaven, as you shall witness. And you'll see that the lonely road wasn't always a bad thing. It served as proof that you were selected, identified, and designated for glory. Selected one. Think about this for a moment. You didn't make the choice only for yourself. The generations associated with your name were the topic of discussion. The invisible strands of fate that run through your family. You accomplished more than merely save your own soul when you refused to make concessions. You changed the course of those who follow you. For generations you may never meet, for grandkids you haven't yet seen, and for children you haven't yet held, you filled the void. You sent shockwaves across time with your obedience. Every family line has struggles, trends, and responsibilities. You've seen it, therefore you already know this. Addiction cycles, patterns of poverty, brokenness, or generational silence in which God's name was never respected. However, you selected one. You were put in this family to break the pattern, not to be crushed by its weight. A curse was broken and a blessing was sown by your bravery, trust, and unwavering yes to God. But I'm just one person. How come my choices matter so much? You may ask. Listen to this. The power of obedience spans generations. Unlike sin, goodness also runs in families. Heaven established a new covenant to record your family line when you followed. It was you who finally told me to quit. Yes, it was mentioned in Exodus, chapter 20, verse 6. But demonstrating affection to 1,000 generations of people who follow my teachings and adore me. Do you notice the one that was selected? The decision of one obedient heart affects 1,000 generations. Your family will benefit from your faith, even if they may never understand the price you paid for it. Imagine Abraham being asked to leave his cozy surroundings. A country was founded by the obedience of one individual. Consider Rahab, who had the audacity to conceal the spies. One woman's faith put her in the bloodline of Christ and safeguarded her family line. Consider the one you have selected. Even though you may feel insignificant, heaven can see how your decisions affect eternity. The adversary wanted you to think there was no point in obeying. You lost more than you gained, and nobody noticed. In actuality, however, your choice changed fate. Your bloodline will see it even if you don't. Even if you may not fully comprehend the effects, future generations will be grateful for your decision. Indeed, it is expensive to defy the norms that your family has accepted. Your forebears gave up to bear weight that others shunned in order to interrupt cycles. It is painful. It separates. You start to feel like the odd one out, the weird one, and the one who won't give up. However, heaven summons you to be the warrior, the breaker, the chosen one, the one designated to put an end to what was destructive and give birth to what is divine. Your struggles have been more burdensome than those of people around you because of this. Your evenings of crying seem to go on forever because of this. You were battling for more than yourself. For centuries, you were making intercession. You were demolishing walls when you raised your hands in prayer. When you rejected temptation, your grandparents were unable to tear you down. You shut the door on the monsters that plagued your family for many years. Remember, beloved, that saying no to sin meant saying yes to legacy. You made a proclamation to heaven by refusing to bow. This curse will not be repeated by my family. This suffering will not be passed on to my descendants. The Lord is the owner of my home. I want you to perform the following immediately. Put your confidence in this. Write in the comments, I break chains, 3 words that are very powerful. Why? Because putting those words down is a prophetic act rather than just repeating a phrase. You are openly announcing your spiritual accomplishments. By doing this, you are allowing heaven, earth, and even hell to know that the bonds have broken. The lineage is free and the curse is lifted. Boldly type it. Fire, type it. Let those phrases serve as your motto, because you reinforce triumph each time you proclaim the truth. You mute hell each time you agree with paradise. Writing it also serves as a reminder to yourself that I am not a victim of my family's history. Its future was altered by me, the warrior. Selected one. You are not wasting your obedience. In the times in your life when you see that God is honoring your position, you will see hints of its fruit. However, a large portion of the crop will endure beyond your lifetime, blossoming in generations that bear your DNA. But because of your decisions, you may walk in freedom. What a legacy. What a prize. So take a proud stance. Don't lament your loss. Take pride in your accomplishments. Don't be envious of those who made concessions. Thank God you were strong enough to resist. For each nay you offered to the dark. In your family's genealogy, heaven approved of blessings. You will witness the totality of what you started one day, chosen one, and generations will be present, free and entire, because you dared to follow. And then you will hear the voice of the Lord say, "Well done, breaker of chains. Well done, faithful servant. Well done, chosen one." And chosen one. There are victories you will never hear shouted on earth, because they were celebrated in heaven's courts alone the moment you stood firm, though no one applauded. Angels rejoiced when you whispered no in the silence of your heart. Heaven thundered yes in response when you turned away from temptation. The Father leaned closer with delight. The applause of heaven is not always noisy. It is sacred, hidden, and eternal. You must understand this. Angels are not drawn to noise or outward show. They respond to obedience. They are attracted to holiness, to integrity, to the hidden strength of a soul that refuses to bow when no one is watching. When you thought no one saw, angels saw. When you believed no one cared, heaven cared. Your obedience caused joy in realms invisible to human eyes. Sometimes you may feel like your small victories are too insignificant to matter. You wonder, does it even count when I turn away quietly? When I chose him above myself in private times, does God truly notice? The answer is yes, dear. Heaven keeps thorough records. Nothing escapes your Father's scrutiny. You could think that your little triumphs are too little to matter at times. You wonder, does it even count when I turn away quietly? Does God really notice when I choose him over myself in moments no one else can see? Beloved, the answer is yes. Heaven's records are detailed. Nothing slips past the gaze of your Father. Each hidden choice builds the unseen fortress of your destiny. Like bricks laid one by one, your obedience constructs a foundation that storms cannot shake, though unnoticed by human eyes. Every moment of surrender is engraved in eternity. The quiet yes you whisper today becomes tomorrow's unshakable testimony when you stand firm in silence. Angels record it as victory. When you resist what no one else knew tempted you, the Father calls it faithfulness. Do not underestimate these secret battles. They are not small in heaven's sight. They are proof that your love for God is real, tested, and unbreakable. It is written in the book of Luke, chapter 15, verse 10. In the same way, I tell you, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. If heaven erupts in joy over one soul turning back, how much more does it rejoice when you already chosen stay faithful in the secret battles of your life? Your obedience does not need an audience. Your righteousness does not require applause. What you do in secret holds more weight than what is done for display. Heaven values what is unseen, and that is where your crown is being formed. Think for a moment about those hidden choices, the ones you rarely speak of. There was a day when anger rose within you, when words of fire burned on your tongue. Yet instead of exploding, you bowed your head in prayer and let silence be your victory. There was a night when bitterness whispered to you, when the memory of what someone did kept replaying in your mind, and you wanted to clutch that grudge like a shield, yet you released it trembling and whispered forgiveness through your tears. There was a season when your own hands were empty, when resources were scarce, and yet you still opened your palm to give generously. Not because you had much, but because you trusted God with everything. And there were times when temptation stood before you, painted as beauty, glittering with promises of comfort or recognition. Your heart ached, your flesh cried out, but you turned away. You walked off the path of compromise and chose the harder road of obedience. These were not small decisions. They were altars. Every act became a sacrifice laid before God, fragrant with love. Every quiet victory was incense rising to his throne, carrying the proof that you belong to him. The world may never publish these moments in headlines, and no crowd may ever cheer you on. But in the realm of heaven, these moments are treasures stored where no thief can steal. Chosen one, you must never measure your worth by how many people notice. The applause of men fades quickly, but the favor of heaven is eternal. And you have that favor because you obeyed. You may not feel celebrated on earth, but you are celebrated where it matters most. The angels know your name. Your victories are sung in their realm. They guard you with renewed strength because your choices align you with heaven's agenda. And while the earth may continue on, blind to your sacrifice, you are not invisible to heaven. You are deeply known, deeply loved, and deeply honored in ways far beyond human comprehension. So when you feel overlooked, remember this truth. Unseen victories are never wasted. Quiet sacrifices are never ignored. The applause of heaven is louder than the silence of earth. Walk boldly in that assurance. Below chosen one, for even when no one else claps for you. The King of Kings stands in approval, and angels rejoice at the sound of your faithfulness. Chosen one, do you realize what happened the moment you chose obedience? The enemy lost ground. Hell's plans crumbled because you refused to bend. Satan wanted your yes to sin, so he could claim territory in your life, but when you stood firm, you pushed him back. You may not have seen it with your eyes, but the spiritual world trembled at your decision. Every temptation is not just about the moment. It is about territory. If the enemy gains your obedience, he gains access. But when you choose God, you shut the door in his face. Your obedience did not simply protect you. It dismantled strategies that were prepared against you. What the enemy thought would bind you became the very thing that glorified God. And so, chosen one, you need to know this truth. Every time you resist darkness, you are not just saving yourself. You are shifting the balance of power. You are breaking chains in your surroundings. You are standing as a shield for others who are weaker, creating room for light to flood where darkness tried to dominate. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. This is who you are. You are not a trembling victim hiding from a storm. You are a warrior who carries the power of God within. Every right decision proves that the Spirit in you is stronger than anything around you. Chosen one, do not underestimate what that moment meant. In heaven's eyes, you were not merely avoiding a mistake. You were seizing victory. You were writing history in the Spirit. You were stepping into authority. The enemy knows now that you are not easily swayed, and that knowledge terrifies him. And here is what you must understand. Each act of obedience strengthens you for the next. What once felt impossible becomes easier because you grow stronger each time. Every no you give to sin fortifies your soul. Every time you stand firm, you become more dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Hell loses ground step by step, and you claim new territory in the spirit realm. This is why your journey matters so much. This is why the Lord is so pleased with you, because you did not just protect yourself. You weakened the grip of the enemy in your atmosphere. You carved out space for freedom, not just for you, but for others who will follow. Beloved, pause here and let this truth sink into your heart. The enemy tried to break you, but you broke him instead. He tried to use pressure to silence your faith, but your faith grew louder. He tried to lure you with lies, but your obedience became your shield. You are more victorious than you realize. And because of that, I want to encourage you to do something simple but powerful. If this message is speaking to you, let it be known like this word is a sign that you agree with what heaven has declared over your life. Share it, not because of me, but because there is another chosen one who needs to hear it, who is on the edge of giving up, and needs to be reminded of their strength. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because what God is pouring out here is not random content. It is consistent nourishment for your spirit. Each word is oil, to keep your lamp burning. And if the Spirit stirs your heart, you may also choose to contribute so that this message of light reaches further. It is never about obligation. It is about partnership. Every seed, no matter how small, helps keep this flow alive and carries the word to another soul who needs it. Not because anyone demands it, but because when you plant into fertile soil, the harvest always returns multiplied. Your generosity keeps the light shining and allows these words to reach farther than we can imagine. So do not be silent. Do not withhold what has blessed you. Spread it, nurture it, and watch how heaven multiplies it back into your life in ways you cannot measure. For the same God who saw your private obedience also sees your public faith, and he will reward it openly. Chosen one, lift your head high. You are not defeated. You are not small. You are a warrior who pushed back the enemy's camp. Heaven is proud of you, and hell trembles at your name. The ground you reclaimed in obedience will remain yours, and no power of darkness can take it away. Chosen one, what you sow in silence will one day bloom for all to see. The little sacrifices you thought went unnoticed. The prayers you whispered without anyone hearing. The decisions you made when no applause followed. These are not forgotten. They are seeds, and though hidden under the soil of time, heaven has already watered them. They will sprout, they will grow, and they will bear fruit that glorifies God. The problem is you often underestimate what you planted. You look at your obedience as something small, something insignificant. You tell yourself, I only did what I was supposed to do. But beloved, heaven does not see it that way. Heaven sees your acts of faith as treasures, as offerings, as living seeds that will multiply in a harvest far beyond your imagination. It is written in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9. Let's not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Do you see how perfectly this truth applies to you? The very choice you made to persevere, the very strength you showed when others gave up is the guarantee that your harvest is on its way. But here is the mystery. Seeds take time. They rest in hidden places. They are tested by storms. They endure the weight of soil pressing down. And you, chosen one, may feel like your sacrifice has been buried and forgotten. But no seed is wasted in the hand of God. Your obedience will break forth in due season. The very ground that pressed you down will soon give way to blossoms of blessing. Do not grow discouraged in the waiting. The silence is not punishment, it is preparation. The delay is not denial, it is development. Just as a farmer cannot rush the process of growth, you cannot rush the timing of heaven. What you planted in tears, you will reap in joy. What you gave in faith, you will see return multiplied. Remember the times you chose to walk away from opportunities that looked appealing but were not aligned with God's will. At that moment, you felt the sting of loss, the ache of sacrifice. But that was a seed. Remember when you chose to forgive instead of seeking revenge? That was another seed. Remember when you gave generously, even when it hurt, trusting God to provide. Yet another seed. The field of your destiny is rich. Chosen one. You have planted more than you realize. The enemy hoped to make you blind to this, to convince you that nothing would grow, but heaven has already marked your field for harvest. The rains of grace are falling even now, so do not despise small beginnings. The greatest trees begin as tiny seeds. The grandest harvests begin with humble sowing. What looks small in your hand today will tower in generations to come. This is why God is pleased with you, because you did not hoard the seed. You sweat it. You did not cling to comfort. You released it in faith, and now the reward is certain. Chosen one, I want you to mark this moment as a declaration of faith. Write in the comments the prophetic number 888. Why this number? Because it represents new beginnings, overflowing blessing, and the abundance that follows obedience. When you type it, you're not just posting digits. You are planting a prophetic act into the soil of your future. You are agreeing with heaven that your seeds will bear fruit. Your sacrifices will return multiplied, and your harvest is already on its way. And do not just type it carelessly. Let it be intentional. Let it be an act of agreement, a way of saying, I believe my obedience was not wasted. My seeds, I think, are living. My harvest is coming, I think, because you activate what heaven has already provided when you move in trust. Your sacrifices are holy, beloved. Your obedience has great power. Your seeds are living. One day you'll look back and recognize that what seemed to be lost was really the start of growth, that the seeming grave was really a planting, and that your destiny was being nourished by each cry. So, get up with courage. Choose one, and continue to solve problems, believe, and obey, because the harvest is closer than you may imagine, and the blessing will be beyond your expectations. You must have a profound understanding of the chosen one. You weren't punished for what you went through. It was sophistication. It was preparation, but you often screamed, "Why me? Why must the fire burn so hot around my life? Why do I always seem to be tested more than others?" You mistook the fire for rejection. You weren't meant to be destroyed by the fire. To cleanse you, they arrived. Without fire, gold cannot shine. Pressure is necessary for the formation of diamonds. And the ones who go through seasons of trying, pushing, and perfecting are the ones that God utilizes the most. Your path has been so intense because of this. You weren't overlooked. They were forging you. You were becoming a stronger, smarter, and more resilient person as a result of every struggle, hidden cry, and tribulation. And although if the process seemed harsh at times, it was really heaven's kindness molding you. What is real is exposed by fire, and what is valuable is revealed by pressure. You wouldn't be aware of the power God has given you without these seasons. You would never understand the power you now possess. It was really leading up to what seemed like shattering. In reality, what seemed like a loss was a gain. Furthermore, what seemed like desertion was really a prelude to your calling. Through the prophet Isaiah, the Spirit communicated. Verse 10 of chapter 48. I've purified you, you see. I have put you to the proof in the furnace of suffering, but not as silver. These are not ethereal echoes from a bygone era. They are your story's exact reflection. God permitted the furnace to burn away what was not intended to remain, not to burn you away. You may not be able to view it well now. However, pollutants that might have subsequently debilitated you were eliminated by the fire. It robbed you of your pride, fear, and reliance on unsustainable things. It revealed deceptive companions, hollow assurances, and delusions that would have diverted your attention from your fate. The fire did cause pain, but it also provided healing. Although the fire destroyed everything, it also helped to shape who you are. Consider who you were before the storms arrived. Consider how shaky your trust was. Your heart faltered so fast. How quickly you were discouraged. And now you are different. Even if you're scarred, you have more faith. You're more determined. You can see better. This change did not occur in a comfortable setting. It took place in a fire. Selected one. The adversary attempted to persuade you to give up because of this. He wanted you to think that the fire was evidence that God had forsaken you. If God really loved you, he wouldn't let this happen. He stated that in a whisper, but the reality is the contrary. Your worth is shown by the ferocity of your fight. God is preparing you for greater use, as shown by the very fire you survived. Your scars are testimony, therefore don't hate them. Your soul was nourished by the nights of tears, therefore do not be angry with them. Your genuine identity was exposed in the furnace, so don't curse it. You were doubtful when you came in, but you were unshakable when you came out. You were not destroyed by the fire. It gave you the authority of heaven. Here's everything you need to know. There is never a waste of refinement. Because you were put to the test, everything you went through has prepared you for the tasks that lie ahead. Because you were pushed, you will stand while others fall. Because you were cleaned, you will carry oil while others run dry. Where there is darkness, you shall shine. Selected one. When the next storm arrives, don't be afraid. When the heat rises again, do not shudder. You're no longer the frail person who questioned their ability to live. You have evidence of survival since you have gone through fire. You now see that what appeared to be the end was really only the start of change. Heaven's method of giving you greater faith is via the refining process. Would a skilled jeweler set an uncut, raw stone in a crown? Never. You are important enough to be ready for royal placement. as shown by the purifying. Your suffering wasn't in vain because of this. The procedure was what made you valuable. So take a proud stance. Wear your scars with pride, even if the memory of the fire is still on your flesh, because they are evidence of a God who kept you alive. Talk about your hardships with thankfulness rather than resentment, since they helped you become stronger. Above all, keep this fact in mind. You didn't just make it through. You changed. Selected one. You were more furious than the flames. It was a difficult struggle. However, you were more powerful. You now have a depth, a weight, and an unfake holiness because you persevered. The furnace served as a training ground for you, and you came out of it not weaker, but cleansed, prepared, and a chosen one. The Lord has given you this route for a purpose. Your choices demonstrated that you could maintain faithfulness with few resources. God is now getting ready to put greater faith in you. Even though you can't see it yet, your silent compliance has made you eligible for more challenging tasks. Heaven does not advance according to external power or public acceptance. It advocates from the heart, which remains in harmony with God, even when no one is seeing. You must comprehend this. It is a test to obey. God observes your handling of the little conflicts before releasing a larger mantle. Silently resisting temptation was more than simply a personal triumph. It was a test that demonstrated the loyalty of your spirit. Heaven is now prepared to give you more power, responsibility, and influence since you remain steadfast. It is recorded in Luke's Gospel, verse 10 of chapter 16. You may trust a lot of things to someone who can be trusted with very little. Additionally, someone who is dishonest with little will likewise be dishonest with a lot. This fact explains why your obedience was so important. You could have assumed that just one was selected. God is getting ready to expand your realm. This may not necessarily imply material prosperity or outward success. It denotes spiritual authority, however they could arrive. It implies that the weight of your prayers will increase. It implies that your remarks will have a greater impact. It implies that atmospheres will change when you are present. Demons will shudder when you enter a room. Because of your authority, not because of who you are. This power is expensive. It cannot be obtained by charm or purchased with money. It is crafted in secret, polished in quiet, and sealed in tears. Because of this, not everyone gets it. However, you have proved yourself in the testing furnace, picked one. God is now able to entrust you with more of his might. Think back on your path. The conflicts first seemed to be personal, as if you were battling just for yourself. But as you matured, you saw that the consequences of your choices extended beyond your own life. Others around you sensed the change more when you obeyed. Are you blind? You are becoming into a conduit for God's influence on people's lives. You're not just getting by anymore. You're taking on the responsibilities of a person who delivers, heals, and prays for others. The power you have been granted should not be taken lightly. It is a privilege and a duty to bear it. It will need steadfast dedication, ongoing humility, and ongoing watchfulness. The adversary will put you to the test once again because he is afraid of those who are given more important tasks. But keep in mind that you will triumph again if you have already done so. You will be strengthened by the same God who has helped you through minor trials. And a change in viewpoint follows this new confidence. You can no longer see yourself as weak or unremarkable. You cannot retreat under the delusion that you lack strength. Fragile people do not get crowns from heaven. Because he knows you have become strong enough to handle things that others could not. God is putting his faith in you. Selected one. More power also translates into more influence. Once high walls will start to fall as a result of your prayers. Where there was pandemonium, your presence will bring tranquility. Those who are terrified will gain courage from your testimony. You'll see that people are attracted to you because of the light you emit, not because of your attractiveness. Those who are in need of healing and deliverance will be drawn to you because of your authority. Even while this could seem overwhelming, keep in mind that it is Christ inside you, not you. God is pleased with you because he knows you won't keep the power for yourself. You will utilize it to create, heal, uplift, and liberate. Heaven had to be certain, which is why you were put through such a rigorous exam. And the trust is being unleashed now that you have been validated. So, Selected 1. Get your heart ready. The days ahead will be more intentional, but they won't be any simpler. Your shoulders are stronger, but the duties will be more difficult. The grace in your life will increase along with the responsibilities. God is going to show you why the fights were so fierce in the next season. Because you never had a modest destiny. See yourself as heaven sees you by raising your gaze. No longer a vagrant in the woods, but a warrior ready to fight. One who is trusted to bring light into the darkest areas, rather than one that is concealed in the shadows. The moment of purpose has come, chosen one, and the time of proof has passed. Your level of trust has increased. Have courage and walk in it. Keep it humble. And never forget that you will be sustained by the same God who selected you. You will be empowered by the same Spirit that honed you. And now you will get an open reward from the same Father who saw you comply in private. The thing you need to realize, chosen one, is that obedience never goes away. The moment reverberates into eternity as it goes. Your silent decisions will never be forgotten. They influence destiny well beyond your own as they reverberate through time. One wise choice, one brave yes to God, has the power to change generations and bear weight that is immeasurable. Your obedience is not brittle. It is a seed sown in your life, as well as the lives of people in your immediate vicinity and those who will follow. Each time you put your faith ahead of your fear. Each and every time you fought temptation. Every time you upheld God's word, even at personal expense. History was written by you. You left a lasting impression on human history. In chapter 5, verse 19 of his epistle to the Romans, the apostle reminds us, because the many were become sinners by the disobedience of the one man. Likewise, many will be rendered righteous by the obedience of one man. Originally, this text was about Christ. However, a divine principle is revealed. There is always a multiplicative power to obedience. It's never all about you while making decisions. On this side of eternity, they may have an impact on others that you will never witness. Consider it this way. You made room for someone else's breakthrough when you refused to let the darkness win. Although resentment tempted you, you sowed the seeds of healing when you extended forgiveness to other members of your family. Someone else will eventually discover courage because of your endurance when you clung to your faith in the face of despair. You're a real example of how obedience has an impact long after it has place. The enemies battled you so fiercely because of this. He was aware that you couldn't keep your yes to God confined. He was aware that it would upend families, have an impact on generations, and motivate others to succeed. He thus presented you with tiredness, diversions, and hurdles. He attempted to persuade you that your decisions were pointless. However, you continued to stand, and as a result, eternity changed. Are you aware of the power this holds? Imagine a single act of obedience motivating someone else by setting an example. Imagine, then, that another is inspired by their obedience, like a stone tossed into water and sending forth ripples. Your choice keeps getting out of hand. In God's hands, what seems little to you has grown to be powerful. Heaven rejoices over you because of this. You didn't only avoid temptation. Legacy was triggered by you. You did more than only save your own life. You saved lives that were related to yours. And one day, even those who made fun of you or misinterpreted you will see the results of your faith. You are not wasting your obedience. It has an impact on time itself. Selected one. This is a fact that you must firmly establish in your soul. Time forgets what eternity remembers. People could forget what you gave up. They may never see how honest you are. Eternity documents the stances you made, even if they may never thank you for them. Heaven rejoices. Your obedience will bear fruit long after you are gone from this world, outlasting praise and rejection. For this reason, I ask you to openly state in the comment section of this post that I have chosen eternal in your own words. 3 words that are simple yet have timeless significance. By writing it, you are announcing that your decisions will have an influence that lasts a lifetime, not only for survival or short-term comfort. You're implying that I won't die with my servitude. It will never stop echoing. And don't be careless while typing such words. Make them your banner. You're bringing your heart into line with the idea that even the smallest act of trust has everlasting repercussions. You're saying that you prefer long-term benefits than short-term convenience. By doing this, you once again establish yourself as someone who lives for the crowns of eternity rather than the praise of the present. Never question the importance of your obedience, beloved. Future generations will benefit from it. Heaven will see it, and hell will dread it. Every affirmation you provided to God is recorded in the book of eternity, and you will eventually be able to clearly observe the effects of those choices. Hold on to this knowledge till then. Even though obedience may seem obscure at the time, its effects last a lifetime. Thus, go with bravery. Selected 1. Every action you do in faith adds a new chapter to the timeless narrative God is writing through you. And when you stand before the throne one day, you will realize how much God loved you, how many lives you affected, and how far your faithfulness went. Something about your obedience, chosen one, scares the kingdom of evil. Demons shudder each moment you say yes to God. Principalities are defeated each time you break free from temptation. Your religion does more than just keep you safe. It upends the enemy's plans from the ground up. You may not feel strong all the time. However, darkness fears your obedience as a weapon in the spirit world. Consider this. Darkness does not have to quarrel with light. It just glows and the shadows go away. Similarly, the light that you carry as a chosen one thwarts hell's schemes. Demons can tell when someone is in a position of power from God, and you have that authority because of your loyalty. They're not afraid of your own power. It is God's Spirit inside of you. Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world." A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Beloved, this is your identity. The enemy wants to convince you that your obedience is small, your influence limited, your light dim. But the truth is you're like a city on a hill. Your very existence unsettles darkness, and your faith shakes what cannot be shaken. Have you noticed how opposition rises just as you begin to walk in greater obedience? That is not coincidence. The enemy does not waste his energy on those who are no threat. He only fights the ones who carry weight in the spirit. The fact that you have faced so many battles is not evidence of weakness. It is proof of how dangerous you are to darkness. Chosen one, understand this. Your obedience is spiritual warfare. Your prayer is not empty words. It is fire that pierces the unseen. Your worship is not just melody. It is a weapon that pushes back shadows. Your refusal to bow to sin is a declaration of war against hell itself. That is why your very life is a battlefield and why the enemy tries so hard to discourage you. But no matter how loud his threats, you must remember he has already lost. Beloved, this is the time to stand even taller. Heaven has armed you with divine authority, and now you must use it boldly. Do not hide your light. Do not shrink back out of fear. Let your life radiate the presence of God so strongly that even the atmosphere shifts when you enter a room. You are not called to blend in. You were chosen to disrupt darkness. And because this word carries weight, I invite you to respond. If this message is stirring something deep in you, let be a sign. Like this message as a declaration that you will not hide your light. Share it, not because you're asked to, but because another soul needs to be reminded of the fire they carry. When you share truth, you extend the reach of light into places it may not otherwise reach. Subscribe if you have not yet, because each word released here is not random. It is preparation, equipping and oil for your spirit. Consistency matters, and staying connected allows your flame to remain strong. This is more than content. It is nourishment for your destiny. And if your heart is stirred, you may also choose to sow into this flow. Not because you must, but because you desire to partner with heaven in pushing light further into the world. Every gift, no matter the size, becomes a seed that multiplies. You're not paying for words. You are fueling the spread of truth. Your contribution helps this message of hope reach those who are still trapped in shadows. Think of it as planting into a field that will yield eternal harvest. Unashamed chosen one. This is not about obligation. It is about partnership. Just as your obedience pushes back darkness in your own life, your generosity helps push back darkness in the lives of others. When you give, you join in the battle, not with swords, but with seeds. And every seed sown in faith is recorded in heaven and multiplied in ways beyond what you can measure. So do not underestimate the impact of your engagement. A simple click, a quiet share, a consistent subscription, a humble seed. These are not small. They are acts of obedience, ripples of light that expand outward. What you release today may be the very thing that saves someone tomorrow. Chosen one, you're dangerous to darkness. Do not forget this truth. The enemy may roar, but you carry a greater roar within you. The roar of the Lion of Judah. You may feel small at times, but in the spirit realm, you are mighty. Your obedience is your weapon. Your faith is your shield. And your light is your greatest threat to every shadow. Stand tall, shine brightly, and keep pressing forward. For every step you take, darkness loses ground and heaven's kingdom advances. Chosen one, there is a crown reserved for you. Not a crown of fading gold or fragile jewels, but a crown forged in eternity, waiting in the courts of heaven. Every moment you chose righteousness when no one was watching. Every tear you offered in silence. Every sacrifice you made that seemed unseen by the world. All of it is being woven into that eternal crown. It is the promise of God to those who endure faithfully. Sometimes you may look at your life and wonder, what do I gain from all of this? What is the compensation for the suffering I went through, the conflicts I engaged in, and the temptations I resisted? My dear, the response is that all of your obedience has been fruitful. Heaven is not blind. Furthermore, God is not unfair. He maintains meticulous records. Every act of faith also contributes to glory. Every unspoken sacrifice you made turned into a gem kept in the vaults of heaven. God was writing it down in his everlasting book even while no one applauded you. Your weakening muttered prayers, the decisions you made without speaking. Additionally, your everlasting inheritance is being enhanced by the strength you've shown in submission. And use truth to quiet the voices of despair that your efforts are in vain. You are creating a prize that will last forever. The benefits of your obedience will endure throughout time. It will ascend as an enduring glory. God doesn't squander anything, as seen by the crown that awaits you. Not a single act of trust on your part. Chapter 1, verse 12 of James' epistle contains this information. The person who endures hardship is blessed because they will be granted the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. You can be sure of this. Your hardships weren't in vain. Furthermore, the pain you went through had purpose. The prize at the end of it all is more valuable than anything this world could ever provide. Consider how lovely this promise is. On earth, crowns may be broken, stolen, or melted down. Heavenly crowns cannot. They are bright with God's splendor and everlasting to chab. What you are getting is an enduring testament that you loved him enough to be true, not a transient award. Selected one. Are you aware of this crown's high value? Because it cannot be acquired by riches, ability, or rank. Only the ones who persevere are granted it. And you're familiar with endurance. You've survived the conflagration, the loneliness, the miscommunication, and the rejection. You have persevered through times when it would have been simpler to give up. Your qualification is the perseverance that results from your love for God. Think about this. In reality, every challenge that seemed like it was taking from you was strengthening your crown. The diamonds reserved for you were being polished by every adversity that attempted to shatter you. The opponent was an additional thread of grandeur stitched into your everlasting reward for each instant you resisted. In reality, your honor was being prepared by the same things that seemed to devalue you. Don't be fooled into believing that the crown is unimportant and far away. Heaven recognizes it even today. Angels notice. It is anticipated by the cloud of witnesses. And your name has been inscribed on it by God himself. It is a reality that is only waiting to be discovered, not just a hazy concept. The crown of life will be put on your head as a testament to your tenacity when you appear before the throne one day. But this is much more lovely. As a trophy, you will not keep the crown. You'll place it at the king's feet, because you were his strength in every win. Each victory was a gift from him to you. Your crown is more than just a prize. It is a gesture of affection, evidence that you were entirely his. In the meanwhile, keep in mind that the crown is a source of power for the present. Remember that this is molding my crown when the conflicts seem never-ending. In times of intense loneliness, say, "This is proof that I am chosen." Chosen one. Your crown is closer than you think. When the fire seems insurmountable, murmur to your heart, "This is polishing my reward." Your efforts are not in vain. You're not going through pain in vain. You are receiving unimaginable honor beforehand. And every cry will make sense when you see it at last. Every hardship will seem worthwhile. And there will be everlasting glory in every sacrifice. So, go with assurance. For royalty has already been marked on your skull. Your destiny is not insignificant, and you're not an average person. The crown of life is reserved for you. And, chosen one, nothing in this world can take it away from you. Heaven has heard your silent prayers more loudly than you could have ever dreamed. It's possible that you felt your remarks just barely made it to the ceiling. In actuality, however, they ascended before God's throne like incense. We haven't missed a single prayer. Not a single murmur has gone unheard. Every word you have said in trust is treasured by the God who listens in secret. You may sometimes question if your prayers are heard. You examine situations that seem to be unaltered. When things are difficult to break through, you murmur, "Loved one, does God really hear me?" "Yes," is the response. Heaven leans in the minute you raise your voice. Angels move at his command the instant you say his name. You have a lot of prayers. They are everlasting weapons, everlasting sacrifices, and everlasting seeds that will eventually bear fruit in the form of witness. In the Psalms chapter 56, verse 8, David reminds us that you keep tabs on all of my troubles. All of my tears have been gathered in your bottle. All of them have been noted in your book. See how heaven keeps a close eye on you. Your tears are counted, too. Your prayers are undoubtedly remembered. In eternity, what seems little on earth is treasured. Recall the times you prayed through your suffering, when you were so tired that your voice broke. Remember the mornings when you called his name in a whisper before anybody else woke up? Consider the moments when you could only cry and had no words. You remained in front of him, chosen one. Those moments weren't squandered. Heaven saw such times as immeasurable treasures. You don't know how far your prayers have taken you. They turned into the barrier that prevented assaults you were unaware of. When darkness threatened to overtake you, they turned into the light that led the way. They serve as a link between his strength and your vulnerability. And have faith in this reality, even if you may not see all the answers just now. No prayer will go unanswered. Sometimes the solutions take longer than expected because God is creating something bigger than what you asked for. Sometimes being quiet is a tactic rather than a sign of neglect. Additionally, breakthroughs may sometimes occur in ways that are invisible, coordinating events and people at the ideal moment. There is never a late hour in heaven, even when the waiting seems to go on forever. Selected one. Harvests that will be enjoyed by future generations are being stored up by your prayers. The protection that will envelop your descendants, the benefits that will be bestowed upon your family, and the opportunities that will arise for those who are associated with you. It's all connected to the prayers you consistently provided. Even though you may not live to see every response, your prayers endure and will continue to be heard for a very long time. The adversary worked so hard to suppress you for this reason. He made an effort to persuade you that God was far away, that prayer was pointless, and that your words were in vain. However, the fact that you continued to pray despite your doubts, tears, and silence was evidence that you are completely his. Your weapon was that perseverance. Darkness was frightened. Your prayers are more than simply petitions, dear. They're trust statements. You declare that God is your source each time you pray. You attest to his continued deservingness each time you lower your head. You create an altar in the invisible realm each time you raise your voice. The altar is indestructible, and its flames will never go out. I thus want you to remark on the prophetic number 555 in order to record this reality. This figure represents grace multiplied. Devi offered you the recognition of heaven for your tenacity. When you write it, you are declaring, "My prayers are heard. My tears are seen. My faith is alive." Do not see it as mere numbers. It is a prophetic act, a visible echo of your invisible prayers. When you type 555, you are reminding yourself and proclaiming to heaven that you trust God's timing. You are choosing to believe that your prayers are not wasted. Even if the answers seem delayed, and you are stepping into agreement with the truth that His grace will carry you through until the harvest comes. Chosen one, keep praying, keep believing, keep sowing your tears into the soil of faith. For the day will come when what was hidden will bloom, when what was delayed will arrive, and when every whispered prayer will resound in the testimony of answered promises. Heaven is listening. God is smiling, and the fragrance of your prayers is filling the throne room even now. Chosen one, do not think for a moment that your suffering was wasted. Every pain you endured, every night you cried in silence, every burden that weighed upon your chest, they were all seen, counted, and stored in the presence of God. Nothing has been overlooked. Heaven keeps careful record of your journey, and not even a single tear has fallen unnoticed. There were nights when your pillow was soaked and no one knew. There were mornings when you rose with heavy eyes, but still you pressed forward. There were moments when despair whispered, "Give up. You cannot go on." Yet you chose to endure, and your endurance became your testimony. What the world could not see, God was writing into His eternal scroll. And though those moments nearly broke you, they also revealed the hidden strength God had planted within you. Each step you took in weakness became a declaration that His grace was enough. Your perseverance in the silence of pain was not wasted. It was heaven's proof that you truly belonged to Him. The voice of God thundered in the book of Revelation. Chapter 21, verse 4. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain. For the old order of things has passed away. This is not only a promise for eternity. It is also a whisper of comfort for the present. God does not ignore your sorrow. He treasures it. He transforms it. And He will one day redeem it completely. Chosen one, your tears were not weakness. They were proof of your heart's tenderness. Your refusal to grow cold. Your choice to remain soft before God. Many harden themselves when pain strikes. But you wept. And in your weeping you showed that you belonged to Him. Your tears became prayers without words. They became worship without music. They became incense rising before the throne of grace. And though it felt like pain was your only companion, the truth is that every tear carried weight in heaven. Each one was a seed, planted in faith, watered in hope, destined to bloom into joy. The sorrow you felt was never meant to end you. It was meant to shape you, to deepen your compassion, to expand your capacity to love and to intercede for others. Do you see now why your heart is so different? It is because it has been softened by sorrow. You understand what others cannot express. You carry empathy that was born in fire. You carry compassion that was forged in pain. Your tears have become your oil. Your suffering has become your song, and your scars have become your testimony. Chosen one, the Lord has been near to you in every moment. You may have felt alone, but He was beside you. You may have believed you were abandoned, but He was holding you closer than ever. The same hand that caught your tears was the hand that lifted you when you could no longer walk. And even now those tears remain in His keeping, not wasted but treasured. This is why your story carries such weight. When you speak, it is not empty. Words you speak with depth, with authenticity, with authority born from pain. Others may share knowledge, but you share experience. You carry evidence that God sustains, that God heals, that God transforms sorrow into strength. And when others see you, they do not just see a survivor. They see a living testimony of divine faithfulness. Do not despise your tears, chosen one. Do not look back on your suffering with shame, for the very things that broke you have become the things that built you. The nights of crying have prepared you for days of joy. The weight of sorrow has prepared you to carry the weight of glory. What you endured has carved depth in your spirit that nothing else could create. And one day when you stand before the throne, God himself will wipe those tears away, not only as a comfort, but as recognition that they mattered, that they were recorded, that they were holy. What you thought was weakness will be revealed as worship, and what you believed was meaningless will shine as eternal significance. Chosen one, lift your head. Your tears were not wasted. Your pain was not in vain. Your suffering has been transformed into strength. Your sorrow into intercession. Your wounds into weapons. You are more than a survivor. You are a vessel refined through pain, carrying oil that will pour healing into others. And every tear you once shed has become part of the glory you now carry. Chosen one, there's something remarkable about the atmosphere you now carry. Wherever you go, something shifts. People may not always understand it, but they feel it. Rooms grow still, and hidden things in hearts are stirred simply by your presence. This is not human charisma. It is divine authority resting upon you. You have become a carrier of God's presence, and environments cannot remain the same when you step into them. Why is this so? Because your journey of obedience has filled you with oil. The pressing, the fire, the battles you endured, all of them produced a fragrance that clings to your life. Like incense rising in the temple, your story now releases a scent of heaven wherever you walk. You're no longer just one among many. You're a living altar, and the fire of God burns within you. It is written in the Gospel of Matthew 5, verse 16. Let your light shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven.